Hi guys, and today we're going to be reading the first book of the Neal series called Neal at the Water Park. Chapter 1. One Sunday, Neal got up and thought it might be a good idea to go to the water park, so he took a crowded bus. But he already was in his swimming trunks, causing everybody to get away from him, making some people trip over the seats and fall on top of the people sitting on them. That made one person leave a seat, which Neal rushed over to sit on. By then, the bus was filled with chaos, causing the driver to look back. Because he wasn't looking where he was going, the bus slammed right into the sidewalk. This resulted in a violent jerk forwards, knocking everyone down. So Neal found a bike and began to ride it to the water park. But he rode on the wrong lane, so the drivers often had to press the brakes and turn really fast. This led to a bunch of huge pileups, causing traffic everywhere. Neal began weaving across the lanes, avoiding cars. That was even worse than what he did before, which all the sharp turns he made caused even more confusion, causing even more pileups. But Neal finally made it to the water park unharmed. But despite being a boy, he went to the girls' changing room. Because everyone in there was uncomfortable seeing a naked boy, they lit the rooms, so Neal got the whole room to himself. Chapter 2. After having his swimming trunks off for a few minutes, Neal put them back on when he couldn't find any evidence of women or girls in the room. Then he went to line up for a very steep and tall water slide. But the queue was half an hour long, so Neal shoved the people in front of him very hard. This caused 3/4 of the people in front to fall onto the water slide head first. Now, the queue was way shorter, and Neal went down a lot sooner. Then, on a water slide with a ramp at the end, he had another trick up his sleeve. Chapter 3. Neal climbed the wall on top and jumped off onto the slide, causing him to go much faster than expected. Then flew higher off the ramp than expected, causing him to land in the water much harder than expected, putting more strain on the bottom of the pool than expected, causing it to make way underneath them. In turn, everyone fell to the center of the earth, only to reappear on the other side before falling back down to the original place. Neal managed to cling onto the edge of the pool, but the other people kept falling back and forth, and because of drag, they eventually stopped, floating in the center of the earth. Only Neal wasn't in there. So Neal made a really long rope and a device that can pull just about anything holding onto the rope, weighing less than a ton. He also tied on a boombox, which would say really loud that there was help when the people reached the bottom, just in case it was too far from the other people. As it turned out, the rope was barely long enough to reach the center of the earth, and when the boombox cranked out the message really loudly, all the people were giving it a terrible fright. But they held on to the boombox anyways, and the rope-pulling device began to pull everyone back to the surface. The journey took a long time, and by the time they were on top, the water park was already closed. Meanwhile, Neal had a few more hours of fun before the water park closed. Read on. They had to close the ramp slide. So Neal went on a water coaster. It's a mix between a water slide and a roller coaster, with dips and turns. On a two-person raft, Neal was told to sit in the back, so the raft wouldn't tip over on a dip. But on the conveyor belt to the top, he switched to the front. So on the first dip, the raft tipped forwards, and Neal was stuck at the bottom of the dip. And nobody saw that and kept sending rafts down. This caused a huge raft pileup in the dip. And it was only until no rafts came out of the slide when the staff realized what had happened and closed the slide down. Then the ladders had to be used to rescue everybody. Neal had a good laugh, but everyone else, not so much. Chapter 5. Then, for lunch, Neal went to a buffet, but he dropped his tray of food, which a ton of people tripped over, since it was right next to the most popular dish, caviar. So there was a massive pile of about 100 people on top of the squashed fried rice noodles, broccoli, and watermelon slices. Neal got in the tray but tripped over the pile up when he stopped by to get some caviar. But he got up unharmed and decided that maybe he'd leave the restaurant, just so he wouldn't get in trouble. Chapter 6. After lunch, Neal went to the wave pool. Instead of sitting on the raft, he surfed on a surfboard. Because it was way more aerodynamic than the rafts, it zigzagged in between them. Neal was great at surfing, so even if he bumped into any rafts, he wouldn't fall down. That's why he didn't really watch out for rafts. He just ran into them. About 2/3 of the rafts in the pool tipped over. The lifeguards had to turn the wave generator off so everyone could swim safely to shore. It also stopped Neal's surfboard from bashing into more rafts and people. Chapter 7. After a couple more hours of creating complete pandemonium, he finally went home, and everyone in the water park gave a huge sigh of relief. That is, except the people being pulled up from the center of the earth, who were only 4/5 the way up when the park closed, so they were trapped there overnight. Anyway, Neal had a lot of fun at the water park. The end. In Neal at the water park, Neal creates complete pandemonium in the water park. On just about every ride he rides on, he even manages to empty out the girls' changing room, trip up 100 people in the buffet, and cause chaos on the road on the way there. Stay tuned for the next audiobook, Neal at the Theme Park.